Good evening, Secretary General Bond. Thank you so much for joining us. It's truly an honor to have you as our keynote speaker for the 50th session of Yale Model United Nations. Your work has really inspired so many of us and embodies exactly what we hope the delegates take away at this Model United Nations conference. In honor of 50 years, we are filming a short documentary, and we would love to have a few words from you. So my first question today is about the mission of the UN. Could you share what is the mission of the United Nations today? And also, what are the biggest obstacles that are currently preventing the UN from accomplishing that mission fully?
As you know very well, United Nations was established in 1945 after the Second World War, where tens of millions of people were killed and all the destructions. That is why the world leaders gathered not to repeat such kind of destructions and to make sure that all the people around the world can enjoy peace and freedom and democracy. That was a very important moment when whole world's people and leaders were united only after having experienced such a destructive experiences. In the history of human being, there was no such heavy casualties and the destructions as well as the killing of the people. I think that was the only moment, looking back, almost 80 years since the founding of the United Nations, that when world leaders, world people were united as one. Now, I know that there are still some hope, but there are also a lot of disappointment and criticism about the United Nations because of the lack of political will by the world leaders and world people. As a former Secretary General who has served 10 years at the helm of the United Nations, I feel very sorry that I was not able to do exactly what the Charter of the United Nations proposed to do that, but never too late. If the world leaders, particularly political leaders, are united as one, I think we can still make the United Nations as the organization to promote peace and freedom, sustainable development, and also respect the human rights, and also promoting the role and the prestiges as a role of the women and the children. That's the aim the United Nations is still trying to achieve.
Absolutely. I love that message of hope for everyone. I'd love to turn towards your time as Secretary General at the UN. Could you share some key lessons about global leadership that you learned during your time?
There are a lot of lessons which I learned based on our failures. But at the same time, we should never be disappointed. And we should aim for a better future. I am proud that during my time as a Secretary General, there were some moments where I was able to bring all the leaders together in one place and agree for the better future for all. First one is the Sustainable Development Goals. On September 25th, 2015, all the leaders of the world, including Pope, they all gathered together and proposed and presented the very ambitious and far-reaching goal so that all people of the world, including our planet Earth, can live together, side by side, in peace and harmony, and in prosperity. That is called Sustainable Development Goals. with 17 goals. I'm now wearing this sustainable SDG goal mark here.
It's beautiful.
I'm very proud. Wherever I go, the people ask, what is this? Then it's a very good opportunity for me to explain. That's the main purpose of me. Then what does this Sustainable Development Goals means? First of all, when a human being is born, one should be given enough to eat, and one should be healthy, and there should be nobody who should die unnecessarily from preventable diseases. Of course, there are some diseases whose medicines or cure have not yet been found. But at least one should not die from preventable diseases. And the children, particularly school-age children, should at minimum receive secondary school education. And women and young children should never be discriminated against by others. Particularly men and women should be equal. Of course, there are many other issues like climate change, decent job and industries, etc., etc. That's, I think, most far-reaching, ambitious goals the United Nations has ever presented to the world's people. Now, among them, if I may separate the climate change issues from 17 Sustainable Development Goals, because climate change is fast approaching, then the world leaders decided to take out this climate change agreement as a different one, as a separate one. That is why on December 12th, the same year, 2015, in Paris, whole world's leaders got together and agreed upon this Paris climate change agreement. Again, by far, this is the most important visions the United Nations has presented to the world's people. The reason why we had a separate negotiation alongside the Sustainable Development Goals is that the climate change is so imminent, so important, so devastating, if not implemented. So we really wanted to make sure that our human being, as well as our planet Earth, the only planet Earth where human being can live together. And it is a treaty, while Sustainable Development Goals 16 are political declaration and political motto. But Paris Climate Change Agreement is a treaty. It must be implemented. But at this time, I am very much disappointed and frustrated that world political leaders are not keeping their promises. That is why, even after my retirement as a Secretary General, I am keeping on meeting with them and urging the world leaders, political leaders, and business leaders, and civil society leaders to implement all this Paris Climate Change Agreement. If we do not keep our promises, there will be no future for our human being as well as our planet B. I have been repeatedly saying that there is no plan B because we do not have planet B either.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Excuse me.
no worries. Take your time.
This is good for recording purpose. It's not live here. Okay, ready?
We good, Thompson? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'd love to conclude with some personal questions. The first one is, what personal values or principles have guided you throughout your career?
This is very important questions. It may be my answer may not necessarily be the same as to other people because everybody has one's own views. But for me, it's very important as a human, as a person, as one of the community members that we live harmoniously, respect others, and be humble to listening to others' view. So that means we need to live harmoniously. I have been inspired and taught by a very famous, respected Chinese scholar called Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu lived about 2,500 years ago. He is even senior to Confucius, Gongzi. What he said is that the highest virtue is to act like water. Now, what does it mean that water seems to have no power, but there are something very special when it comes to water. First of all, this planet Earth is composed of 70% of water and 30% of land. Our human body is composed of 70% of water and 30% of flesh or bones. And then water has its unique characteristics. First of all, it treats everybody same. It flows, it covers all the places where it flows. But it does not boast its power. But there is nothing which can win over the water. There are some 5 basic materials like except the sun and moon, what we see, there can be 5 basic materials which have been discovered by the scientists. First, fire, water, wood, metal, and soil. People may believe that the metal or fire may be the fiercest and strongest, but fire can be put off by water. But water does not boast. Water flows from top to bottom, from top to down. It does not boast, it just flows. That means continuity, but it does not boast its power. If water meets with rocks in the middle of a flow, it does not confront it. It just goes like round the stone, rocks. When it comes absolutely necessary, it can roll over anything, such as big rocks, or even concrete feral buildings can be broken by water when you have a heavy water. Then water has a continuity and respect for others, and top to bottom, and does not boast. This is what I've been taught, and I try to exercise and implement as much as I can. Of course, I'm not a perfect person. I have a lot of difficulties as well as a lot of weakness. But as far as I am concerned, and I'm trying to practice myself, and I'm trying to teach my children, and I'm also sending out messages to the people around the world.
That was really beautiful. Thank you so much. I think that's a wonderful note to conclude on. So thank you so much for your powerful words. and for once again being our keynote speaker today.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Let us work together to
Absolutely.
make this world better for all, and peaceful and harmonious and prosperous. That has been my motto as the Secretary General of the United Nations.
And you very much contributed to a better world. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.